Mandell is up next.
I'm going to pass these around. It's show and tell. People can look at those. So I changed the title of my talk at the last minute because I realized I had 10 minutes and could only talk about one thing. So in this talk, I describe how digitally publishing materials from special collections might work. Books, manuscripts, and archival materials can be enhanced, obviously, and published by scholars as digital editions. One kind of reproductive technology spoken about earlier, one kind of digital asset to be managed. Special collections departments have the original materials, of course, but in this presentation, I propose a method for ingesting scholarly enhancements of those original materials into a library's permanent collection. That's not necessarily a special collections problem, but one in which special collections departments have a strong interest if the materials belong to them. The goal is sustaining editors' work and fostering the future use of scholarship, some of which has taken a large part of a scholar's lifetime to accomplish, as well as pointing back to special collection holdings, so a method for finding things. The work of theorizing this pipeline that I'm going to describe comes from a grant awarded to Texas A&M University by the NHPRC and the Andrew W. Mellon Foundation for ARC Scholar, a digital publishing cooperative. It's part of ARC, and I'm happy to explain that later in Q&A, or if you see the booklet being passed around, which I also uploaded to the Drive for participants. There's a description of ARC in it. And I'm not getting to that, what's on that booklet until the end, so you'll have more information. So here is Digital Done. It is one of the participants in the ARC Scholar Cooperative. It won an MLA prize. The Variorum did, and the online Variorum is part of that. This is, it's not a beautiful interface. The software is not worth saving. What's worth saving is the scholarly work and the documents. And you can see that it's, it's a full Variorum edition. Another participant is the digital page. This is published by QUIRC, the Canadian Writing Research Collaboratory. A much different interface for Variorum, and also the information in that needs to be preserved. I'm going to talk in more detail about the third participant. Well, there are many, but the third one I'm going to mention today, the Collected Letters of Robert Southey, published by Romantic Circles. 8,000 letters it will be by the end, by the time Part 8 is finished. The letters have been carefully transcribed and coded. Some of them are in manuscript form, some of them have been previously published, some of them are only published. And I just want to show you all of the work, the editorial work that's gone on here. Anything that is a link, like Clarkson or Grassmere or Lloyd's, those link to biographies and place and a gazetteer describing those people in general. Then there's notes, and the notes are about people that are not really in Southey's circle. So, there'll be a note about King George. It's more for a reading edition. It's not really clear that you need to save the notes, right? Because that's just that's a reading edition. Other people, there are other ways to find out about King George. But Southey's inner circle, those codes we need to preserve. And luckily, what we did when we designed the edition, as I think it was Laura said earlier, the work has to be designed for preservation and sustainability at the start, and that's what we did. This is Text Encoding Initiative, TEI encoding. What you can see here is we've got each person coded, and so we are able to do a lot with this, including adding authorities like VIAF, authority numbers. Obviously, for the people reading the edition, it'll go to the page about the person, but you can see what that has enabled us to do is to list all the letters that Coleridge is mentioned in, and there's 551 of them, and all of the letters that he's addressed, the letter is addressed to him. Also, I published an article about the Southey collected letters. You're able to use network graphing to see who has a relationship to whom via the letters. This has yielded some tremendous insights. But, and The letters are also ingested in Big Diva, and that's what that booklet is about. This is a search interface for the art catalog, which contains collections from various libraries, the Walters Museum in Baltimore, proprietary materials, and also peer-reviewed materials. And so here are the Southey letters. They have been peer-reviewed by ARC. If you were to ingest the Southey letters, if a library were to ingest it, it has been peer-reviewed in the way that a print edition would be. And you can see the editorial board. It's as illustrious as Cambridge University Press. So Big Diva is not linked open data, but it will be, because we are participating in the LINKS grant. I always forget what LINKS stands for, so I'm going to have to look at it. It's Linked Infrastructure for Networked Cultural Scholarship, led by Susan Brown at Guelph. It's a CFI grant for about $2 million. It's a way to create a Canadian RDF store. And part of what we're going to do is we're going to turn ARC into real RDF. So our goal is to negotiate, the Art Scholar Publishing Cooperative, their goal is to negotiate with libraries to get the TEI documents, not the interface, not any of the bells and whistles, ingested by libraries, ideally that have Fedora 4 on the back end, which we've set up and we're working with, so that there can be a Sparkle endpoint that will allow for pushing linked open data out into the semantic web. I don't know how much sense that makes to you, but here's the sort of standard semantic web diagram, which puts DBpedia in the center. They actually are really good at what they do. And so here's Fedora 4, a Sparkle enquiry. Say some of the Southey letters are here, and you have them in your collection. That would be data, not just the metadata, not just the URIs from the metadata, but the scholarly enhancements themselves. If those can be pushed out into the semantic web, then in the year 3000, somebody can know that Southey worked with Humphrey Davy or a lot, that a literary person and a scientist collaborated a lot, and they could know that the letter in which they discuss it is here, and they could come here to look at it. That's my goal.